welcome to another episode of The Unlicensed Counselor. My name is Steve Moak. I am the Unlicensed Counselor. As always, so grateful to be here. You can just put this intro on repeat because I'm going to say it every single time because, hey, I am grateful. And as I've spoken before, I'm just trying to practice gratitude in my own life. Nice day here in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona. We're not down to that cooling off time yet, but man, do I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and that light's a little bit cooler. It's called, end of September, October. So happy to see that rolling around the corner. And what this time of year also means, we got some back to school action, right? So today, what I want to talk about is actually specifically speak to really incoming college freshmen, right? So I was many moons ago a college freshman. I went away to the University of Colorado at Boulder and, I don't know if crashed and burned bright, flared out, did everything that you could do wrong. So I want to take a few minutes today and speak directly to your sons or daughters, or have you send this episode directly to somebody who's in college. Maybe they're partying, drinking a little too much, all that type of stuff. Just want to share some of my thoughts and experiences that I really wish somebody maybe would have taken a few minutes and sat me down and said, Steve, okay, I get it. You like to have a good time. Let's maybe go over some of these things and let's think about short-term, long-term consequences of kind of what this type of behavior could land you as you kind of go off into college for the first time being on your own. So that's what I want to talk a little bit about today. I'm excited. I actually, I play basketball. I work out at a gym. I see lots of these high school and kind of kids going off to college or in college. And I actually talk to them one-on-one and really enjoy kind of hearing what's going on in their life and at school and some of the stuff that they're doing. And it really got me thinking of like, instead of trying to sit down with each and every one of them, maybe I can record something here and share it with some folks that are out there and hopefully find some benefit. So, as always, before we get going directly into that topic, I want to thank, as always, our friends at ShareTech. ShareTech is the leading at-home drug and alcohol screening test in the entire industry. This is not one of your 20, 30, 40 cheapy tests on Amazon that can be manipulated, that can be faked, that you have to read a strip in a cup and hope that that gives you the accurate kind of analysis of what that person may or may not have been taking. It will not give you the level of substances like the ShareTech test will. Again, the ShareTech test is a discreet, convenient, at-home drug test. Go to betterdrugtest.com, pick up the test. We're going to ship it right to your door. It requires no observed collections. You're going to get a detailed report sent back to you that comes straight from the lab. No other testing service is offering the level of detail and the number of substances tested for like the ShareTech. So again, go to betterdrugtest.com. If you're in the market for a drug or alcohol screen, be sure to look those guys up. And again, thanks as always, ShareTech, for continuing to be a sponsor for this show. Next up, our friends at EasySheets.club. Hey, speaking of going back to college, look, I'm guessing a lot of you kiddos out there may not be washing your sheets at home. I'm guessing mom and dad have maybe been doing that, or the house cleaner, or whoever. Guess what? Now it's on you, but it doesn't have to be. Like I did that. Go to EasySheets.club. You can sign up for one of our just monthly subscriptions. Pick the type of bedding that you want, the color. You can rotate it out on a month-to-month or every 2 weeks basis. It's honestly one of the more fun subscription services. It starts at $50. But look, for those of you going off to college, I don't know if you still have to go down to the dorm room to go, or the basement to go do your laundry and things like that. I doubt when I was there at the University of Colorado Boulder, I was doing it frequently enough. If there would have been $50 that I could have put down to have this just dropped at my door once a month, I for sure would have signed up for it. And again, whoever's sleeping next to you is going to thank you as well too. Go to EasySheets.club, the most fun subscription that you can sign up for. And the other thing I want to continue to plug, obviously, the Unlicensed Counselor. Go to theunlicensedcounselor.com. Find some time, book some time. You want to hear my thoughts and perspectives on solution-focused counseling specific to whatever's going on in your life. I'm happy to spend some time with you to do that. And again, the other venture that I'm involved with now is the Coalition for Youth Drug Abuse Prevention. We've created a campaign that's called Hard Stop. Follow us at Hard Stop Official on Instagram. You're going to find us on TikTok, social media, all of that. really, we are going to be the national voice for youth drug prevention across the country, and we really need your help in doing that. I'm not asking for anything other than a follow right now. You're going to see a lot of content coming out. This is something near and dear and passionate to me. You can also find us at thestopstartshere.org is our website where you can follow all of our latest updates. So, okay, got all of that stuff out of the way. So, college, right? I went to high school here in Scottsdale, Arizona, a place called Chaparral. Very involved, vice president of my class, captain of some sports teams, played basketball, all that good stuff. So, had a lot of friends, all of that good stuff. But, as I was getting in, there was only one place that I wanted to go. It was the University of Colorado at Boulder. Again, my high school career consisted of, smoking a little too much weed, drinking a little bit too much, going out in the desert, doing all that kind of stuff that, at least that's what we do out here in Arizona. I'm sure you have varieties of keg parties and house parties and things out in whatever neck of the woods you're listening to, right? So I was a good kid, well-liked, but still, you could kind of see a trajectory that I was kind of heading into. And, by the time I did just enough to kind of get accepted into the University of Colorado at Boulder. I had some friends that were a little bit older that went there, did the fraternity thing. I visited there. I grew up in that generation watching Animal House and all of those kinds of movies, right? And that's stuff that I don't know if I idolized it, but it was like, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get into the fraternity. I wanted to do the sorority thing. I wanted to be the hazing, the drinking, the partying, the themes, all that kind of stuff. And so I get to my senior year of high school, and I'm kind of on cruise control, right? I got into the college that I'm going to go to. I got to check a couple boxes in terms of classes. My drinking and drug use was also starting to escalate at that point in time. But, I was on really cruise control mode, still getting into a little bit of trouble, but nothing too significant. I was able to kind of coast on being liked and things like that for the most part, right? And I think I see a lot of people that can kind of do that. If I would have stepped back and taken a look at the situation, I wish I could have maybe had some mentors that would have come along me at the side, or maybe even some college kids who were successfully on their way in a college career versus some of the folks that I was kind of befriending who were just in the drinking and drugs partying scene, but are a couple years older. So what I want to talk about today is, if you're getting ready to head off into college, right? If you're going to be a freshman and you're going to do all those things, like, let's just stop and pause and think about not only some of the short-term things that could happen if you choose to go down a certain path, but also the long-terms. And these are things that, I'm an 18, 19-year-old kid. I think I got the world by the tail, or whatever the hell that slogan is. And I'm just going, I wish I would have taken a beat and somebody could have talked to me, because it took me damn near 9 years to graduate from college, right? You know what? I'm not a doctor, right? Those people come out with PhDs and MDs. Now, I had some little breaks and some treatment center stints in there and things like that, but that's all because I didn't take the time and kind of really prepare myself for a healthier college career. And I really have been thinking about this a lot. I live a life that I feel like I have no regrets. Like, I've done some things I wish maybe I could have done some things differently, but I've thought about the no regrets thing, and I go, I think I do have a regret. I see my friends who go back to the University of Colorado at Boulder and back to the fraternity house, and they're able to have a couple beers and hang out with the guys and go to the football games. And they graduated from that place. And again, sub in whatever college you want to. But I look back at that and I'm like, I'm a little jealous in the sense. And I'm just like, why couldn't I have put together a college career that was a little more middle of the road? That I could have developed those friendships a little bit deeper, that I could have completed the coursework there and really had a little tighter community instead of just going all out, balls out into some crazy partying career that ultimately just took years off my life and damaged relationships and friendships. And so this regret thing, and I'm like, I've always felt like I have no regrets, but I'm like, I think I kind of do. And it was really got me thinking. And I follow some of my college, the University of Colorado's Instagram posts and things, and I see pictures of the Flatirons and the beautiful scenery and the football field, Folsom Field, and all this stuff. And it's really been sitting on me lately, which is part of the reason why I wanted to talk about this, because I'm like, if I can share some of this stuff with folks, that maybe they can start their college career out a little bit better and save the headache, stress, heartache. And that's just me. I mean, I don't know exactly what my parents felt and all that, but they had to be frustrated, sad, disappointed, mad, all those types of things. And then I remember my brother visiting me when we're up there, and I even set him on not the greatest path in the world by getting high and getting drunk and different things like that. So it's just like, okay, how do we start that out? So, okay, Steve, you've set the stage a little bit about kind of how you got there and what were you doing. What are some of the things that you would have done differently? So, I wanted to do the fraternity thing. I actually don't have a problem with the fraternity thing. How it maybe used to be in the 70s, 80s, 90s, I was into the 90s when I kind of get into that. Maybe a little bit different now, but I don't think it's all that different. The drinking culture that's associated with the fraternities, sets people up for alcoholic behavior and problematic drinking, right? And along with alcoholic drinking and problematic drinking comes poor decision making, it comes impaired judgment, it comes with skipping class, it comes with multiple sexual partners, potentially sexual assault and things like that. If you are going out and drinking heavily and blacking out and continuing to put yourself in these situations where you're surrounded in those environments, it almost seems normal. And what you're doing is no different than your fraternity brothers or friends, and you're kind of in this insulated little bubble. And I think that I don't really understood the full scope of what that could do. I think that I would always go in and drink and party and you'd come out kind of unscathed on the other side. I think that's just what I believed would happen, because that's typically, I would go through things in my life and typically come through them. When you get to college and you're on your own and now you're making these decisions and you don't have the family support systems, and maybe the behavior that you're engaging in is being encouraged by others around you, it's easy to get caught up in that and make it seem or justify it that it's okay in what you're doing. What I didn't realize is that all those daily habits or even weekend habits would start to have longer term consequences than I ever anticipated, right? From, GPA crashing, from having to take summer school, to, the pain of relationship breakups because I was not a healthy person. And, how do you date someone if you're drinking regularly or blacking out or using drugs on a regular basis? And those things that were maybe just fun started to kind of turn on you, and they became habits, right? So, what may have just been partying on the weekends and things like that, now I'd come home and crack a beer or shower beer, or you're having a beer on the toilet, or now it's a couple mixed drinks and you're tailgating in the football games. And then it's always an excuse to be able to drink. And when you're doing it like that, all of a sudden you're now becoming a regular daily drinker. Drugs were a major part of my story as well, too. But without any kind of intention on how you want to approach your college career, I think it's easy to go down that path and think that you'll just come out okay. Whether it's I saw my dad or parents and his friends party and come out okay, and you hear stories of, I drank and hazed and things like that, and you see these people 30, 40, 50 years later and they seem okay. What you might not have seen, what they're probably leaving out of that story, is the heartache, struggle, depression, sadness, the opportunities that were missed because they were going down this path. So really, if there's a way to, if you want to be involved in the fraternity, sorority, and that kind of system, I would encourage you to find a way to kind of balance that out with, exercise, social circles outside of that as well, too, whether that's faith-based or not. Maybe continuing to stay engaged in counseling in some way, shape, or form. Maybe it's volunteer work, something to kind of keep you a little bit grounded, because in that insular world, it just makes your behavior seem that much more acceptable. When really, if you had somebody who was kind of almost checking you on the outside, it'd be like, hey, that's not normal, right? That's not normal. Maybe you have an older brother, sibling, an aunt or uncle, maybe a coach from high school that you can keep in touch with. Like, I really want I would love to see, kids who are going off to college be able to have somebody that they can pick up the phone and call and be a non-judgmental voice, but a voice of reason on the other end. It's like, hey, here's what's going on. I'm drinking a lot. I'm smoking weed every day. I'm sleeping around. My grades are suffering. I'm getting depressed. Like I'm kind of getting in this place. And have somebody to be able to reach out to. And you have to be able to ask for that kind of help. Maybe it's not even help, but you have to be able to reach out to somebody and kind of be able to share what's really going on in your world. And I never had that. I never thought to ask for it. I never looked for it. I had one mission and one mission only. It was to be the party fun guy and do the fraternity thing. And I executed on all that. And it cost me dearly. And it cost me dearly for years down the road that I would have never guessed at that point in time. Things that I missed out on because I chose to live the party boy, kind of life is graduating on time, right? It took me years to graduate from college. And now I stopped college for a couple years and then went back and completed the degree after I'd already been working professionally. But still, it took me a long time. I didn't get to graduate with my friends, and I didn't get to graduate from the place that I really was proud to be able to go to because I took it for granted that I got in there and just ran off and, put my nose into drugs and drinking and girls and all that type of stuff. And if you're hearing this and you think, wow, that sounds kind of cool, I want to do that. The long-term consequences of living like that, I don't think are worth the pain that is involved in doing it, right? And it's tough for me to sit here and say that to you as an 18-year-old kid walking off to school as having freedom for their first time. But I would like you to be able to reach out to somebody and say, look, I tasted that. I'm getting a little too far into it. How do I extract myself from it? How do I balance this out? I need a sounding board. So I just think that I would really like folks to think about and kind of set what is their intention when they're heading off to college. What are some goals that you could be around this? What's your purpose, right? Like, what is your purpose in being there? Think about these things, write them down, make a plan, have somebody to check in with over time because it's easy to get lost. It's very easy to get lost as you kind of head out into these things. And I never had anybody kind of coach me up on any of this type of stuff. It was, you got into college, you move into the dorm, you do the fraternity, and all the things that come with that. And that's what I did. And it landed me in areas that I never thought I'd be, right? And that kind of brings it into the drugs part. And this was kind of heavy on the alcohol side of this thing, but the innocent thing, quote unquote, of smoking weed now, it seems less taboo than what it used to. I was a major pot smoker. Again, I went to the University of Colorado at Boulder primarily because we could smoke a crap ton of weed and it seemed pretty acceptable at the time. And in the fraternity that I lived in, we had a major weed dealer. I mean, pounds of this stuff that would come into our house, and it was just like a free-for-all. And I know that happens at other places across the country too. What was just smoking weed kind of progressed into some mushrooms, right? Kind of the natural drug, natural progression into the next thing. And then maybe some acid, and you're listening to some music to go along with that. And then somebody maybe has some Adderall or something like that because they're taking it for their prescription. You start snorting that because, hey, that's not cocaine, and that can help you study for a test and stay up all night. Adderall in and of itself, from what I'm hearing, is a massively abused prescription drug, whether you're snorting it or just taking it. And I think it's under the guise of I need to study, stay alert, be focused, get grades, that type of thing. It's no different than, I think the actual chemical description of it has the word meth somewhere in it. Harkening back to my treatment center days and seeing people come in with that prescription. It's really no different than cocaine. It's a stimulant that keeps you up, that it kind of allows you to stay alert and focused and things like that. So you start with that, and then now you don't have maybe the Adderall and somebody floats around some cocaine or something like that. And it just all seems so natural. You're surrounded by people who are probably doing many of the same types of things, and your nights turn into days, and weekends run together. And all of a sudden, now you've got a regular drug thing kind of going in your system as well. You're drinking, you're using drugs. And that, not only is it just not healthy for you, but it puts you in really precarious situations. So I can't tell you how many times, I'm a guy who grew up here in Paradise Valley, PVAZ 85253, right? The stupid city has the name Paradise in it. That's how rough that I grew up in over here. And I can't tell you how many times, not only here locally, but everywhere across this country, and even across into other countries over in Europe, where I'd be buying drugs, and the situations that I'd put myself in to buy a bag of weed or some coke or some mushrooms or whatever the hell it was I was trying to get at the time, put me in extremely dangerous situations with people I had no business being around whatsoever, right? So I distinctly remember getting a gun pulled on me in Boulder, Colorado. I distinctly remember being at some crack house down in Phoenix where they were, making crack. They had the spoon over the stove and kind of cooking this stuff up. And again, I'm some teenage dumb kid looking for drugs, walking into these situations. And again, I am so grateful that I didn't get harmed, shot, killed, robbed, kidnapped. Who knows what could have happened because of the places that, this really the start of an addiction put me. And so it's like, is all that stuff worth it? Does anybody talking about this when you're going off to college and you just think that you're going to get drunk and party and meet some girls and things like that? That seems innocent enough. But when you're doing that on a regular basis, I mean, this takes you to places that you'd be surprised. And a lot of people are going to hear this and go, Steve, I was never that bad. It doesn't have to be that bad. It can be you put yourself in one bad situation and things go wrong and go wrong quickly, right? So I just wanted to kind of plant some of these seeds that are out there. Be thinking about these types of things before you just run off and run out to college. Really, the last kind of trifecta of debauchery that I want to bring up today is sex, right? Sex fun, great, all that good stuff. Maybe some people were sexually active in high school, maybe others weren't. You go off to college, you get this incredibly diverse dating pool. You don't have any of your high school baggage necessarily attached. You can be who you want, right? You're out to kind of blossom and turn into how you want. Now you're seeing guys, girls that you're attracted to, and maybe it's at a party and you're a little lubricated up and you're feeling you're finally getting some confidence and talking to girls and things like that. I think the short and long-term consequences of casual sex are pretty obvious. Obviously, unwanted pregnancy, right? Let's talk about STIs, STDs. I'm not sure what the politically correct term is these days. I don't really care, but getting herpes is no fun, or gonorrhea or chlamydia or whatever the hell it is. Those are all things that are out there that you may think that your behavior that you're running off and doing right now is innocent enough, but you get stuck with some of these things or get someone pregnant. These are life-changing things. Herpes is another one that I've seen people, it's like, oh man, like that's with you, right? And that stuff, you're gonna have to explain that to people the rest of your life. Hey, Steve, are you trying to scare me? Maybe, I don't know. I'm fortunate I steered clear of all this type of stuff. But, I mean, there's plenty of people, if you go out and have a one-night stand and all of a sudden she gets knocked up, now you're having to make a decision about, do I get the morning after pill? Or is she going to have the pregnancy? These are serious, serious decisions that you will be thinking about the rest of your life based on the actions that you're doing. So, am I trying to scare you? Maybe, but it's just real. I'm direct, blunt. Like the whole point of the Unlicensed Counselor is kind of solution focused, meaning direct kind of feedback on situations. And I want to be very direct as you're heading off to college and thinking about and engaging these things. You're going to get drunk. You're going to have a couple beers. She may have a couple beers. Today's day and age, consent is a whole other thing that I'm not sure where that all falls anymore. It was different just in 20 years ago when I was in college, but there are significant consequences, legal, STIs, STDs, pregnancy, all of that you really need to be thinking about before you're just running out. And in the age of Tinder, Hinge and all these other, I'm not even familiar with all these other dating apps, but the ease of which we can kind of connect, hook up, casual section, things like that is almost scary. I mean, if I would have had that, it would not have been good. It was not good as was. And I can only think if it was made easier, kind of with people looking for those same types of things, what the outcome might be. And those are just some of like the almost physical, tangible things that can have. The emotional toll of casual sex and the emptiness that kind of comes with that. And when you're laying in bed and you don't know who this girl is or this guy is and what you just did or how you got there, and they're leaving and they're gone and you're doing that again, or maybe you're not, and you're confused, you're hungover, you're sad, you're mad. Why did I do that? Like, it's just weighs on you. And there are things like that you just don't think about when you walk into your freshman year of college. You're just thinking that I'm going to go have fun and meet people and everything's just going to work out. Or at least that's a lot of how I thought, right? And because that was my experience that led me up to that point. And in college, I think for the first time, you can experience consequences, right? And those consequences may be light, they may be severe. They could be law enforcement, right? I mean, they could be fatal. It could be alcohol poisoning. It could be fentanyl poisoning. It could be she's now pregnant and you're going to have a kid in 9 months. There are a million different things, but these are real life consequences that are very different from that senior year in high school when you're living with your parents and everything's kind of taken care of to 12 months later, you're on your own. And now you've done things that have put yourself in positions that may be life altering, right? They may be life altering. And I just wanted to say all this into a microphone so that some people can hear this and just start thinking about it, be cognizant of this, have conversations with your parents. I would encourage you to have an aunt, an uncle, somebody that you're close with, a coach, a mentor, clergy, whatever that is, that you can just check in weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever it is, so that you can have a lifeline out to quote unquote the real world. Because when you go away to college, you get food served to you, you're living on your own, you're in a dorm, you're in a, wherever, things are just different. But this would be a way to kind of stay connected to some of this stuff, to some of reality, I would say, right? And so that hopefully we can walk you through some of these, less painful consequences. Now, look, does this only apply to incoming freshmen? No. I think a lot of people are late bloomers when it comes to this stuff. And maybe there's an incident that kind of sets them on this partying path and things like that. So please share this to anybody. But I know there are a lot of kids who are just going right from high school and kind of on that fun path. And that fun path quickly turns into not so fun when you're getting kicked out of school for grades, right? Because you're not performing well, or maybe you've gotten arrested, or you're breaking stuff in your dorm room. I mean, there's a whole million things that can happen. So being a little bit more intentional about what is your purpose in college, thinking about things past that day, right? I didn't think that I would have a regret from not graduating with my friends and fraternity brothers and being able to go back to that college. Like can I still go back? Yeah, of course I can. But I'm missing something that they had that I blew because of how I chose to approach my college career. And let's also not downplay, what your potential jobs could look like as well, right? I mean, not just did you graduate and how long it took you to graduate. I mean, like I said, mine took an eternity to get there. But I mean, those things were going to show up on the resume, not your GPA necessarily, but how long you took to get there. Did you bounce around a little bit more? What ultimately did you get your degree in? And the people who have a little more focus and kind of dedication to what they're trying to achieve during those couple years of college, while still having a good time, right? They're just maybe not getting blackout drunk a couple nights a week and using drugs and things like that. You're going to see those people down the road a little bit later, and they're going to be excelling in your career, and maybe you stalled out a little bit or a little late to get there, and you're going, I want that. I would like to be that. And those decisions you make now in college will dictate many of those successes or lack of successes, or the pace at which you get to where you want to go based on the decisions that you're making today. And that's just facts, folks. That's just plain old facts. And I just want to dispel the myth that you go away to college, you get grades, C's get degrees, you graduate, you get your job, and you move on into the workforce, you get married and have your kids and blah, blah, blah. That's not how it works. That path requires many, many steps that you're embarking or not embarking on now to kind of set you up for the kind of successes that you want in the future. So I really just wanted, I talk to so many great kids. They have these, again, they're wide-eyed, they're excited, they're going to, U of A, they're going to ASU, they're going to Pepperdine, they're going here, they're going there. And I'm just like, good for you. Have you thought about all of these things? How are you going to approach these things? And I see some of these kids, maybe they show up high to the gym or something like that, and I'm playing basketball. I'm just going, look, just so I get where you're at, but let's think about, some of these other things. And I just wanted to plant this seed. So if you're hearing this, you may have a son, cousin, brother-in-law, whatever, nephew, niece, something like that you may be thinking like, yeah, he likes to kind of, smoke a little, drink a little. Yeah, he's a good kid though, right? Like he'll get it together. He'll pull it together. Send this podcast to that kid, right? However old they are, and maybe even sooner. Maybe it's in high school. I think some of this could apply to folks, younger as well. Just thinking about the actions that you're doing now. Go ahead, hit those 3 little dots, send this episode directly to somebody, start a conversation with them and kind of see what they think. Maybe they'll open up about what they want out of their college career. At least gets them thinking this way. And I can tell you from experience, there's just things I wish I would have done differently in college to kind of set me up better for the future, right? I just wish I would have thought about it a little bit more. So anyways, that topic has been on my mind. Again, I'm speaking to you, our fellow college friends. Think about this, talk about this, share this episode with the friends. Hope you got some value out of this. My name is Steve Moak. I am the Unlicensed Counselor. Until next time, thank you very much.